What's up everybody, Brian Tong here, and I am super excited to really share my first impressions, or I guess you could call it an early review of the PlayStation 5, but not a full review. And I'm not gonna call this a full on review, and really no one should unless they're just thirsty for the clickbait stuff, because we can't even show you certain aspects of the system yet, and we can't show you all of its features until later. Plus, there's only, two next-gen PS5 titles available for us right now. We got Spiderman, Miles Morales, and then Astro's Playroom, and also the ability to check out some of the PS4 backward compatible titles. So I just really want to set your expectations right off the top. And this is really more of like a first impressions and early initial review, but not a full comprehensive review until we can really do everything and show you everything, and I will eventually. Also, just full transparency, Sony did provide me with this review console, but I had already pre-ordered one as well, so thanks to them for just getting this early for me. So I say let's just talk about the design here. This is the thing that you just can't stop staring at. It's really one of the most polarizing things about the PS5. It is big. It's really big. It is kind of like a third of my body. When you saw me unbox it for the first time, you saw how big it is, and you can see how tall it is standing next to this 48-inch LG C10 OLED. Putting it next to this TV only makes it honestly appear bigger. So yes, it is a 48-inch screen, but this is still the tallest console that we've seen to date. And you're not going to be able to really hide this thing, and you might not want to, but you're going to have to find some serious space for this console, whether you're standing it up or laying it flat. Personally though, I just love how bold it is because it fits right in with this white room. Now, I know that's not most people's situation. It really just reminds me though of this piece of modern architecture, kind of like Avengers Tower standing tall, which is pretty slick, or like a sports arena like Barclays when it's resting on its side. On the front of this PS5 with all these elegant swoopy curves, you have a USB-A port, a USB-C port, and then because it's the 4K Blu-ray disc drive version, you have an eject, and then you have the power button on the front. On the back side, you have two more USB-A ports, then you have an Ethernet port, you have your HDMI, and then you have your power. Plus this stand that allows you to stand it vertically or on its side horizontally. I'd really like to hear what you all think it looks like in the comments, because I know that you won't hold back at all. Now, you're either gonna really love it or hate it. The PS5 it elicits a reaction, and I personally love how it looks. First thing, in my unboxing, a lot of you had asked me, look, this HDMI cable, what is it? Well, I asked Sony reps, they told me and have confirmed to me that it is an HDMI 2.1 cable in the box. So it supports all the throughput, 48 gigabits per second. So this is important. HDMI 2.1 cable in the box, in case you're wondering. Also, it's about 5 feet tall, so I believe that's close to a meter long. I know some of you want a longer cable, but for the most part, this is gonna do it for you. So there you go. That's all the stats you need to know about the cable. But after we get over this thing and how it looks, we wanna fire up the PS5, and this thing is a treat. I'm just gonna let you kind of enjoy this for a moment. Now this is a brand new user experience. Visually, it looks and feels so much more like refined and classier with these almost like metallic sparkles and particles floating in the background. Also, I'm not gonna lie, like during my setup, I took my time because maybe I'm just been like stressed or something, but I just really enjoyed the new sounds. This is a whole new experience. It feels like a brand new thing. They had this like background ambient music, the sounds, they kind of remind me of being at like an aquarium or like a modern art museum. I love it. Like they're really capturing a mood here, and I am all for it. Now they've changed the organization of the user experience, but it makes sense. It may look a little awkward to you at first because you've been so used to this single row navigation in the center for so long, but I found it easier to use because they now have separated experiences into like a gaming section and a media section. And one of those areas I can't show you in this early initial review, that's the media section of the user experience. So, you're gonna have to come back for part 2 of the review later. But when you're in the game section, you'll still have a single bar that is specific to games, I like this because it's not a single bar that's mixed up with everything, and depending on what you select, if it's the PlayStation Store or a game that you select, it'll be featured on the main screen really large. You get this great visual area with the navigation bar on top, And to me, the biggest improvement is when you hit the PlayStation button on your controller here, this bad boy right here, you're gonna get a new menu bar that comes up from the bottom, and it no longer takes up like about a quarter of the screen on the left side anymore. All the features and a few new ones, they are down here now. So first of all, you have your home icon that takes you to your home screen, no surprises there. Next, you have the switcher, and that allows you to switch between games. But here's something to clear up here. One of the features of the PS5 is the ability to start a game right where you left off if you turn the console off, and that works flawlessly with every game I tried, whether it was for PS5 or a PS4 backwards compatible game. But if you were hoping that you could switch between multiple games from this switcher and just pick up where you left off between each game, that doesn't happen here. And this just doesn't behave the same as the Xbox Series X and S. It will load each game from the very start as if it's loading it for the first time when you switch from one to the other. So just to be clear, it won't resume where you were when you switch between different games. And let's say you had to leave your house or something, you're in the middle of the game, you put your console in rest mode, and then you came back later, you can start back up with that same game. That's where you'll be able to pick up exactly where you left off, but no instant switching like that between multiple games and saving your spot. Okay, want to make that clear here, but let's keep on going through the main menu bar. You're going to have your latest notifications. They're all lined up here. Game base is where you can find other players and your friends to see how active they are. You can then also listen to streaming music and link the PS5 to a Spotify account, but I can't show off this media feature yet, but it's here. You just have to watch the next kind of full review. Now, your downloads and uploads are exactly what you think they are. Your sound settings allow you to control every aspect of sound, including the controllers. And you also have mic settings and the ability to adjust the volume of your mic from the controller as well. This is one of those experiences that is super underrated. The speaker and the microphone being right here on the controller. I was playing with people online. I didn't tell them I didn't have a headset. And then later on, I just asked them, hey, how does it sound? They're like, it sounds perfectly fine. I just wanted to see if they would say, oh, it sounds kind of different or your audio's not clear. It was crystal clear here on the other side. After that, you have your connected accessories. Those are here. Then your PlayStation profile. So you can dig into that, see your trophies and information about you. And then options to power off or restart the PS5. Now, one other thing that you can do is you can actually customize this menu bar on the bottom as well. And if you hit the options button, you'll be able to add some new icons on there like broadcast, accessibility, and more. So you can have quick access to them in that bar. I think this is really cool because this allows you to, let's say you put in the broadcast one, you could just hit the PlayStation button, go right down there, and allows you to stream your game on the spot. This is all here, but again, this is a feature that I can't get into that aspect yet until the full comprehensive review. So sharing your content here, this is what I thought was kind of one of the slickest things. It gets even easier on the PS5. So when you hit the share button on your controller, the options pop up from the bottom and you can pick between a still or a video like before, but I just think it's a lot cleaner experience. You can choose between a JPEG or a PNG file for your screenshots. The PS5 also records 4K video for sharing. Now the default is actually set to 1080p, so I had already changed it to 4K. But at 1080p, you can choose between the WebM format or an MP4 file for publishing, and then you can send that off to YouTube. I did it, it was really slick, instant, boom, just like you expect. Now you can also broadcast to Twitch directly from the sharing options as well, but again, I can't show you that. But that gives you kind of an idea of the general layout and some of the new things that you might not have seen yet. Now, obviously, we're buying these next-gen consoles for the games, and the two that I've been able to play with so far, Spider-Man Miles Morales and Astro's Playroom, and they absolutely like shine in different ways. So let's start off with Astro's Playroom because the PS5, right, we have all this power, all this graphic fidelity. It's nice, but really the DualSense controller, this is the game changer on this console and really kind of a huge differentiator with any next-gen console. I've been really excited to check it out since the first day it was announced, and this thing did not disappoint. It's gonna take more time when I think about it, right? More time and patience and work for developers to really incorporate these new features, but I have never experienced anything like this. Now, Astro's Playroom is this showcase for all these different kind of like, I guess I call them, I don't even want to call them vibrations because that's too simple. Different sensations and haptic feedback that you can get from this controller. It's just amazing. Everything from just different types of tension when you're pulling on the triggers, ranging from like pulling a bow and arrow to firing like rockets from your feet. you can feel different sensations in different parts of the controller. It kind of moves throughout the controller and it corresponds to the gameplay or cutscenes that you're watching. Even this touchpad, there's a part where as you move your finger around, you can actually feel a sensation move that follows your finger. You can walk on different types of surfaces on the ground. So in Astro's Playroom, there was a metal floor. There's also a grassy area or a bouncy floor. They all felt totally different from each other. And then because this has a speaker on it, they have used different sounds when you're on those different surfaces. So you get the different feedback and feelings. You get the sound coming from here, and the controller just complements it too. Astro's Playroom, it's like a fun interactive platformer. It has different areas to explore. It isn't easy by any means, but this just truly showcased how amazing the DualSense controller is. And I know that I'm talking so highly about it, but there are times where it just blew my mind. I got giddy about it. I think you just have to experience it, but once you do, I think you're gonna love it, and I'm gonna say it. I know people hate this cliche. This is a game changer, all right? Sony just made a true next-gen controller, and honestly, I freaking love this thing. I also got a chance to play Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I'm not gonna put any major spoilers here. It's just content from roughly the first 20 minutes or so, but from the start, this is a next-gen title. You can feel it, the textures, the lighting, the fidelity, everything about this game. It's like the original Spider-Man amped up to like, I don't know, 10 levels higher. Skin textures where you can see pores and how like the light reacts to them. There's specific textures in clothing, large scale shots of the city. There's so much stuff going on. There's more detail than ever with these kind of wide shots of action, which is a cleaner, higher fidelity. This game is just the first for the next gen, and it had me drooling the entire time. I mean, there's so many times like, oh my gosh, like this looks so amazing. And we obviously had this whole controversy about Insomniac changing Peter Parker's face. It didn't bother me because the clarity and the fidelity on here is so much higher. It feels like a different game, and it actually doesn't come off as awkward for me. I didn't feel like it was out of place, and my hunch is that part of the reason that they changed the face is because it gave them an opportunity to bring a new face, but also they needed to match the visual quality, and maybe there's even more advanced rigs in the expressions of the new Peter Parker that had to match what they're doing with Miles Morales. I mean, that's probably part of the reason. I don't really know, but right out of the gates, this is absolutely the best game that I have seen on a next-gen console so far. I mean, this is built for the next gen, and the DualSense here also plays in this game. It's fully active. It's a little more subtle, but there's this really cool scene that happens where there's kind of a sequence of explosions from a distance, and you could actually feel it like move across the controller in your hands. Then there's a part where like some buildings lights, they start turning off because of the explosion, and you feel even the sensation vibration change its intensity and feel completely different to match the visuals as well when it went from explosions to lights. Again, am I in love with this thing? Yeah, I'm in love with it. But there's also two modes in Spider-Man Miles Morales that you can play the game in. There's the Fidelity graphics mode that runs at 30 frames per second in 4K and gives you all the top-end visual treatments like ray tracing and enhanced lighting and more. Or you can go with the performance graphics mode that still runs in 4K but at 60 frames per second with a lot of the visual effects and secret sauce turned off. Now I tried both, and this game looks so damn good that I honestly like prefer the 60 frames per second, and there wasn't a significant noticeable drop off in visual quality. So this is gonna come down to the user. Look, I'm using the LG 48-inch, the C10 TV. It is arguably one of the best picks for gaming, especially for OLED TVs. So this shows everything. The frame rate was smoother. I loved it. I didn't feel like I was missing that much. Like, I think I would have to look at like still frames to really be like, okay, it might look better, but not significantly better, whether I used fidelity mode or performance mode. But it's just really cool to have these options. Like, you have these side-by-side comparisons that I'm including to at least kind of try and give you some sense of what it's like. But if you like the original Spider-Man game, I think you're gonna love this as a first flagship title for the system. I think that always matters if these launch games resonate with you. If you don't, then you'll probably have to wait for, other titles that might tickle your fancy. And as they become available, look, there's others that I'm excited for, something like Sackboy: A Big Adventure, kind of a fun platformer, and also you can play with other people. I was loving Astro's Playroom though. But the PS5 definitely has some intriguing first-party launch titles, but I'm just gonna have to wait to get my hands on all of them and check them out because we couldn't get access to everything. Sony says also that almost their entire PS4 library is gonna be backwards compatible, but it is just the PS4 library, so that's not gonna be as extensive as something, let's say like the Xbox library that goes all the way to some of the original Xbox games. Now there are some PS4 games that will be getting PS5 enhancements, so things like Mortal Kombat 11, the Avengers, and others, but those enhanced versions aren't available yet since they haven't even been released. So again, this is why I kind of talk about this. This is really an early initial review. So, you know, I'm playing the PS4 versions of them on the PS5, no problems whatsoever. Even online play with Mortal Kombat 11, it is flawless. I mean, it doesn't feel like I'm on another system. But right out of the gates, the PS5 has a game in Spider-Man Miles Morales that is a must-buy for the next gen. I mean, their game, it feels incredible. The DualSense, again, adds so much to this experience. The fidelity of it, the audio quality sounds amazing. If you have like a system, you know, a beefy enough surround sound system, that's on point as well. And it's hard to explain just how all these things added together really feels like a next gen experience. And I don't know, I'm just gonna tell you right now, this is a real thing. It's not a gimmick, and you're just gonna have to kind of trust it. But I think when you play it and pick it up for the first time, you're gonna be like, damn, Brian was right. Now the user experience, it is fresh, it is clean, it is classy. I think if you're already a PlayStation loyalist, you're gonna love this console and just be happy with your purchase. Now if you look over at the Xbox Series S and X, they have this deep library of games that goes back to the original Xbox that honestly PlayStation just can't compete with. Also, many of their launch games though, they are current games like Gears of War 5, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. They have enhancements for the next gen, so we're gonna have to see what stands out right out of the gates for them. But it's hard to see like a launch title get any better than Spider-Man Miles Morales, and that matters for the next gen consoles right now. Now the Xbox X and S, they have the quick resume. This is really like their killer feature for them because you can jump between multiple games, instantly pick up where you left off with each of them. Sony doesn't have an answer to that yet, at least switching between multiple games. But this is gonna be a long play, right? This is the console wars that are not gonna get decided overnight. They're not gonna get decided in week one. To me, it doesn't have to be for me. Like, as a gamer, this is just a damn exciting time for us. I think of like my nieces and nephews who have no idea like what it was like to wait for games to load. This is spoiling generations of people and just the incredible experiences that we're gonna get from both Sony and Microsoft. The PlayStation 5, there are two models. Obviously, there's gonna be a $499, that's the 4K Blu-ray disc version, that's this one. And then there's also the $399 digital edition without the disc drive. They're gonna be available for sale. I mean, right now they're sold out, but November the 12th is the official launch day for those as well. The next gen is absolutely here. If you're a gamer, you're gonna just love the PS5 and everything they've shown me so far in my early initial review. This PlayStation 5 does not disappoint, and I'm gonna keep you updated as more games come out, as PS4 games get enhanced versions, and just how big of a difference that might make. Plus, you're gonna get a deeper look into more features as they give us more access so we can really evaluate this console as a whole for a full review. But as it stands now, in this initial early review, the PS5 is absolutely a next-gen console worth getting. Like, I am loving everything about it. I think you're gonna love it too. And oh, I should also tell you, the media remote, I can't show you the features, but I'm gonna tell you why I love this media remote. These 4 apps on here, Disney Plus, Netflix, Spotify, and YouTube, this is finally one of those remotes that I use all these 4 apps weekly, daily. For me, that's already a winner right here. This media remote, kind of nice and slick and white, but I can't show you interacting with the PS5 because I can't show you that yet. So I just can't wait to see more from this console, and stick on this channel. I'm gonna keep on giving you more deep dives and just everything you wanna know, especially with the accessories as well. Thanks so much for watching, and there you go, kind of the early initial review of the PlayStation 5 with plenty more to come.